Hi, everyone. Welcome in. We're so thrilled that you could join us for this month's Discover Day. You're more than welcome to say hello, introduce yourself in the chat, and also please share where you're logging in from. I always love to see where students are joining us from. It's really wonderful to have everyone here for the virtual stream, so thank you so much for your interest and your time. My name's Michelle. I am a student recruitment officer within the student recruitment and admissions team at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. It's always really exciting to do these webinars and see continued interest in attending UTM among prospective and future students. So joining me today is also our amazing tour guide, Gio. I'll hand it over to them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves.
Hey everyone, well I'm Giovanni. I'm in my second year here at UTM studying forensic science and chemistry. And I'm so happy to give you guys a virtual tour. Can't wait. So I'll see you guys in a bit, okay? Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you. So we are all looking forward to learning more about you and UTM when we actually get to the tour. I also want to take a quick moment to shout out to Austin and Lily, who are the people behind the curtain. They're going to be monitoring the chat for the duration of the event, helping to answer your questions. Please post questions that arise during the presentation. We'll have a designated Q&A at the very end, and we'll be sure to get to as many as we can. So if this is your first Discover Day, the plan for the rest of this hour is fairly straightforward. So I'll begin by sharing a general overview of our campus and then giving you some information about why the University of Toronto, Mississauga is the right choice for you. Then Gio will take us on a tour of UTM. They'll share their unique perspectives and insights about the various campus locations. And then finally, we'll both return to tackle some of the questions that were asked by you in the chat, our audience at the very end. So the really good thing about our Discover Day live stream is that it is also available to be viewed later on. So you don't have to take notes for this evening. If you missed anything, you can always catch up at a later date. Okay. With that, I'll get started with my presentation. Okay, so I'd like to first start with a land acknowledgement. So the land on which the University of Toronto, Mississauga, and just the entire institution in general for thousands of years has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And even today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work, live, and play on the land. I really want to make sure that these don't become kind of token statements. So I really encourage you to reflect about your own relationship to the land, as well as your relationship to the people that share the land with you. So in terms of a very broad overview to the university, the University of Toronto is one really, really big university with 3 distinct campuses. So in the middle of the slide, you'll see our downtown Toronto St. George campus. And on either side, we also have our Mississauga and Scarborough campuses. So we're talking about UTM today. No matter the campus you graduate from, however, you're getting the same world-class education and you're graduating as part of the wider University of Toronto community. University of Toronto, Mississauga, just very generally by the numbers, we're a fairly mid-sized institution by Canadian university standards, so about 15,000 undergraduate students, of which just under a third are going to be considered international. And that international body is made up of students from over 130 different countries from all over the world, as I can see from the people replying in the chat. So it's great to hear from everyone. And that means the rest of them, so about 11,000 of us, are made up of domestic students. When you graduate, you're going to be part of that really thriving alumni network. So that's made up about 72,000 last I checked, across every industry, across 110 countries all over the world. I'll talk a little bit about why U of T Mississauga. These are some of the major themes that we can see when we ask people why they chose UTM, and some of the reasons why I think UTM is a good choice. We might talk about research advantage as well as innovation in industry. We are centrally located within the city of Mississauga, which is home to about 75 of the 500 Fortune 500 companies. So that means that opportunity for professional experience, research, internships, those are really right on your doorstep. We also say that we're the natural choice. We're located on over 100 acres of protected green space. So it's a really lovely, very green campus. And you'll definitely see some of our deer roaming around. We also want to emphasize that students here are made out to be global citizens. So we want you to be able to take your University of Toronto degree everywhere. And we're really proud to offer the most variety when it comes to kind of international experiences. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Gio so that he can do the tour and talk a little bit more about what makes UTM special from his perspective.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Michelle. And I'm so excited to be giving this tour. Everyone will see the campus through my eyes and my experiences. So without further ado, let's begin our tour. And as I stated earlier, if you joined late, I'm in my second year and I'm studying forensic science and chemistry. If anyone has any questions about those programs, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, let's begin. And I'll tell you a little bit about me. So I've been in Canada for about 2 years and I love to travel. And as such, I've used the opportunities mostly last summer to explore what Ontario has to offer. And these pictures right here are some of the attractions that I visited during the summer. So the one in the middle was when my family and I went to Toronto Zoo. We got to see all the animals. It was really beautiful. The image to the right is coming back from the Toronto Islands on the ferry, and I took that picture. And the one below, of course, I feel like everyone would know this one, the beautiful Niagara Falls. And isn't it beautiful at night? Like, look at that picture. So, yeah, I love to travel, and I'm looking forward to doing more traveling this summer. All right, we will now begin our virtual campus tour, and our first stop will be the Canef Center and Innovation Complex. All right. There are some main offices that you can find in this building. First one being the Student Recruitment and Admissions Office. This is the office that you deal with before you become a student, right? This is also where our tours begin. As you can see by that image in the middle, that is myself giving a campus tour, and that is indeed our first stop. Another interesting and important office in that building is the Office of Registrar. That is possibly the most important place that you can find once you become a student here at UTM. They have academic advisors and financial advisors. So if you need help planning out your program load for the upcoming year, you could book an appointment with an academic advisor and they can help you. Likewise with financial advisors, if you need help applying for a scholarship or anything related to financial aid, you could book an appointment with a financial advisor and they can help you out. In this building, we have the rotunda, as we refer to it, the Canef Rotunda. That is essentially an open space where you can hang out with your friends, you can study, you can have your food. It's literally a chill spot, right? That is also where the Office of Registrar is located. And the image below shows KN 137. That is the largest classroom in this building. It seats 352 students. I've had a couple courses in this room, and when I'm thinking back on it, I've done well in all the courses that I've had in this class. So if all my courses could be in this room, that would have been perfect for my university journey. Right? All right. So without further ado, we're going to move on to our next stop, which is the William G. Davis Building. All right. I would like to say the William G. Davis building, or commonly referred to as Davis, is the busiest building on campus. And that is mainly due to the fact that the main food court on campus is located in the Davis building. That picture towards the bottom is a group of my friends. We were hanging out in the cafeteria area. We didn't eat, but people don't normally have to get food to hang out in the Davis building. You can link up and just have a vibe with your friends. And that's what university is all about as well, not only academics. And the images towards the top, those are from my chem labs. The first one was a titration where the endpoint was a blue solution, and the one to the right was a oxygenation lab where we had to pump oxygen into our solution. All right. This building also has a ton of resourceful departments. One of them being the Center for Student Engagement. That department is basically responsible for, creating activities for us, the students, so that we can socialize and meet each other. You also have the Accessibilities Department. They cater to students with disabilities to make their life easier on campus. One program that they have is the note-taking program, where in every single lecture you have one person who is a designated note taker, and what they do is give that notes to the department, and anyone with disabilities in that class, they can get the notes. So in the end, everybody is on the same playing field. All right. You also have the Career Center. That department helps to guide us, the students, to a desired career path. And lastly, you have the IEC, that stands for International Education Center. They cater to all international students. Whatever needs you might have while in Canada, they can help to facilitate that. We also have the famous UTM bookstore located in this building, where you can get your core supplies, your typical school supplies, as well as your merch, whether it be a sweatpants, a hat, or a hoodie, they have it. And one last resource I would like to mention is the Health and Counseling Center here at UTM. That is literally your medical office on campus. Anything that you need medically, they can assist you. They also offer nutritional counseling, health education, and dietary counseling as well. All right, with that being said, we're going to move on to our next stop, which is the Recreational Athletics and Wellness Center. We simply refer to this place as the Rock, RAWC, and it's literally the gym. In this building here, you can find two gyms, Gym AB, which is shown by the image above, where you see the basketball game being played. And you also have Gym C, which is a smaller court where you typically play racket sports. So, like your badminton, your table tennis, but Gym AB is the main one. In exam times, like now, April, this entire floor will be covered with a carpet, and you will have hundreds of desks and chairs uh, all across this room here. Uh, the gym has three floors. On the main floor, you have the gyms and you have your check-in area. All you have to do is scan your T card or student card, and you're good to access everything that the gym has to offer. All right. On the second floor, you can find your typical gym equipments, your treadmills, your lifting weights, you name it, they have it. And on the third floor, you have a three-lane running track where you have a fast lane, medium pace lane, and a slow lane. So if you're into fitness and running, and like say it is snowing outside, you have the option to continue your running indoors. All right. We also have an 8-lane swimming pool that you can, if you're into swimming, you can partake in that. We also have a ton of programs. One of them is like Learn to Swim, where, as the name suggests, you literally learn to swim. And we have women's only programs as well. That is where the blinds will be closed, whether it be for swimming, Pilates, Zumba, you name it, the blinds will be closed, and it will be led by a female instructor. So no need to worry about privacy. That is ensured. Okay. A couple other programs that the Rock has to offer is a 3x3 program. That is where you get three 30-minute sessions with a personal trainer every semester. That way you can improve on your own fitness goals. I've used that twice so far, and they've given me recommendations. Have I lived up to them or continued to do what they told me to do? No, but I'm gonna do it again more than likely over the summer, and let's see what can happen from there. All right. And one more program that I would like to stress on is the Learn to Play. I mentioned it for swimming, but you have it for all the different sports: tennis, badminton, soccer, basketball, and they teach you all the basics and the rules from scratch. I did it for tennis, and I'm proud to say I'm an average tennis player now. As you can see by that picture below, I sometimes play tennis with my friends every now and then. The summer is coming now, so it's a good time to go outside and have some fun. All right, next we're going to move to our next stop, which is the CCT building, which stands for Culture, Communication, and Technology. All right. This building hosts one of the largest lecture halls on campus. You can see it in the image in the middle. It seats 500 students. The class that I took this picture in, it was a biostatistics course, so not a lot of people were willing to take that course. So it was about, I would say, near 80 to 100. But let's say, for example, a first year course, math course, uh, imagine all these seats will be filled, right? Um, the image to the right shows myself again on a tour, and that is like the main floor of the CCT building. And if you were supposed to turn right from that point, you would find the UTM service desk. That is where you get all your IT problems sorted out. If you have an issue with any of your devices, you could bring it to them and they could help you sort it out. That is also where you go if you have any problems logging in with your credentials. And lastly, that is where you get your T card or simply your student card. And during the first week of every semester, we have what we call tabling, where every department and every club on campus, they come out and they showcase what their club or department is all about. And this picture here shows the Caribbean Connections Club, club that I'm a part of. We were tabling, showcasing what we had to offer. So if anybody was interested in joining, they could scan that QR code and they could sign up to be a member. Simple as that. All right, next we're going to move on to the UTM library. This space is also known as the Hazel McCullion Academic Learning Center. We have 4 floors here, and it is one out of 40 libraries across all of U of T system, right? So on the second floor, that is the main floor where you can find the reference and research desk. So let's say, for example, you have a lab report or an essay due, and you need to have citations or references in that work. You can go to that desk and someone will be there to assist you with any questions that you may have. All right. Similarly, with the informations and loans desk, you can get any general questions that you have answered at that table. In terms of loans, you could borrow anything from a phone charger to a headset to a laptop, or even simply the markers and dust erasers that you can use on the whiteboards. All right, so literally anything that you might miss on a particular day, you could borrow it from the library. The library also offers printing that you can get done. All right, so with that being said, we're going to move on to our next stop, which is the instructional center. All right, this building is actually accredited internationally for its sustainability. We have a field in front of this building. Below, it has a geothermal system. So in the summer, that system cools the building, and in the winter, it adds heat. All right. There's also copper walls all around this building, which also helps with the sustainability. Funnily enough, this building has no academic departments. They're all lecture spaces, whether it be from a 500-seater classroom or all the way down to like a tutorial room, which is generally a size of like 20 to 40 students. All right. We also have the UTM shuttle system that leaves directly behind this building, and it takes you all the way to the St. George campus downtown. And that is free of cost to all UTM students. And it has the return route, which comes from downtown Toronto all the way back to Mississauga. All right. On the second floor of this building, you have a silent study zone. And when I say silent, it is completely silent. Everybody that enters this room, they're ready to work, and that's where people tend to generally lock in before exams. You also have computers in this room, so you don't only have to go to the library to access computers. Okay, we are now going to move to my favorite building, the MN building. All right, the Manjiwe Nenda Mowinan building. This is an indigenous name and it stands for Gathering of Minds. This building is simply my favorite because of the architecture. It has a chic look looking from the outside, and when you do enter, you have like floating stairs that leads all the way up to like the sixth floor. So it's very nice to look at, and it's appealing to study. You want to study somewhere that is cozy and beautiful to look at. On the fourth floor, you have a patio that overlooks the view in front, and that is a nice spot to have food or hang out with your friends, just to, hold the vibe and take it easy sometimes when the academic stress is taking a toll on you. All right. In this building, you have the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills Center. They offer literacy and numeracy aid. So if you ever have an essay or a writing assignment and you need some help with critique, they can offer that. All you have to do is book an appointment and someone from that office will help you. Likewise for numeracy, let's say that you have an assignment or a math exam coming up and you need some tutoring, you could book an appointment and someone from that office will assist you with your work. All right. That being said, we're going to move on to Deerfield Hall. All right, this building is connected to the MN building. And one fun fact I would like to point out, or you'd have probably seen it from the slide before, you'd have seen a picture of Homelander. So, fun fact, last summer, the movie, or the series rather, The Boys, Gen V, that was being filmed here on campus. So, in the MN building, filming occurred there. And on the outside, you'd have seen like all the statues placed in front of the building, as well as the title of the building would have said School of Crime Fighting. So hopefully one day I can be in one of those productions and showcase my acting skills. So Deerfield Hall, connected to MN, as I said, it has the computer science and mathematical departments. So if you're ever into computer science or math, that is where your professor's offices would most likely be. They also have the Math Learning Center located here on the second floor. So that is a room designated for math. So there will always be a TA, or what we call teaching assistant, in that room. So whether you have an exam coming up or you just have a general question about a math homework that you have, go into that room and that TA will assist you. We also have a robotics room in this building. All right. And with that being said, we're going to move on to our final stop for today, which is the student center. All right. This building is a building for the students, by the students, to put it in a simple terms. They have a lot of activities and programs to assist us, the students. One such event that they held recently is a business fair where any student that has a business, they could come out and showcase what it is all about. If they have products, they could bring them and even sell them to students here. All right, so that was really cool, and we got to see a lot of entrepreneurs. In this building, you have the Blind Duck, which is our local restaurant. I would like to say the food is really good, possibly one of the best on campus. You can find your typical fast food options here, your wings, burgers, quesadillas, fries, you name it, they have it. They also have a stage that they host events from different departments or clubs on campus. So, funny story again, the Caribbean Connections Club that I'm a part of, we hosted an event here, as you can see by the image in the middle. We had a Caribbean Expo. So we showcased music, dance, acting, the entire culture. And that picture shows a couple of my friends and I doing a folklore skit. So I am involved in a little bit of acting, but hopefully I can go on the big stage soon enough. All right. The UTMSU, that stands for the UTM Students Union, they're located in this building and they typically plan all the activities for our students. One of those activities is Frosh Week, which is basically that first week before classes start in August or early September. And that helps first year students to get accustomed to what the campus looks like and they can meet friends here too. All right. They also offer the what do you call the My Way program, where students can travel on any My Way bus for free. All right, that is a really cool program that they have. They also have presentation rooms, boardrooms, and meeting rooms, so student groups can book them at any time. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for coming to my virtual tour and seeing the campus through my eyes and my experiences. I hope you guys did enjoy. And as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Michelle, I'm going to hand over back to you right now.
Amazing. Thanks, Gio. That was amazing. You're a man of many talents, as I can see. Thanks for taking us on such an in-depth and informative review of our campus. Now we're going to move on to our Q&A. So keep typing those questions in the chat. We'll answer the ones that have come in already. And if you have any additional comments or questions, please don't hesitate to ask. The first one, I'll probably answer. This is a very short one. Can I pull out after accepting an offer? The answer is yes. You just have to make the change on your OUAC application. That's it. But thank you for the question. The next one is specifically for you, Gio. So Shanaz is asking, thank you. If you don't mind me asking, what are some potential career paths based on your program? We've acknowledged your acting chops, but anything related to forensics that you want to
Of
go in?
course. Thank you. All right, that's a really good question. So forensics has a lot of different pathways. You have anthropology, chemistry, bio, you name it. So the part that I want to go in is toxicology, and that really has to do with chem and testing in the labs and so on. But you can join the police force. You can do anthropology, where you work with remains and you do a lot of digging. You can work on the bio aspect, where you do DNA, and you also deal with like the body pathology. Uh, What else do you have? There are endless possibilities with forensics, and not to even mention chem. You can go into like the food nutrition part of chem, as well as the chemical and physical aspect of chem too. So whatever you're interested in, I'm pretty sure that pretty soon you will find out, and you can go in that path.
Yeah. I also want to mention that when you're a student here, you have access to career counselors, as well as program plans. So these kind of lay out what your 4 years will look like. There's the banner at the very bottom of the screen if you want to check it out for yourself. The career counselors are there to basically give you advice and practice with you. Like if you're thinking of interviewing for a specific position, they'll look over your resume for you. And they'll actually tell you what kind of jobs are available based on your degree. So that's a really good resource to tap into when you're a student here. But awesome. Thank you for the question. The next one is about kind of the transition from high school to university. So is there any big difference of chemistry between high school and first year of UTM? Gio?
Yeah. Hmm. Let me think. There are a lot of similarities. Of course, you know that the work is going to be at a higher level, so you have to expect that. But more or less, the content may be the same from what you did from high school with a little bit added to it. All right, so be sure to expect that change. And one more thing I must add, your experiences in high school, they are going to be different when you come to university. One drastic change that I found was the class size. We are used to, well, I'm used to having like 20 to 30 students in my class throughout my high school journey. When I came here to university, that first year chem course had up to 400 students, if not more. So you have to prepare your mind and get used to that change. All right.
Those are really good points. I was also a life science student. I feel like in terms of content, I want to reassure you that if you have been admitted to UTM, that means our team knows that you'll be able to really succeed and thrive here. We do have resources to support you if you feel like you're struggling. So office hours, I think Gio mentioned. There's chemistry tutoring, math tutoring, for example. The biggest difference is probably class size, as well as maybe the pacing and the amount of content that you're expected to kind of be responsible for on your own. But I'm sure you're doing fine. It's a big jump, but I believe in you. Me personally, I believe in you. Okay, so the next question is, oh, sorry, I already did that one. What are some of the UTM campuses aspects that differentiate it from the other two campuses? I can start on this one, and then Gio, if you have any input, you can add it at the very end. UTM, I feel like what really sets it apart is it's a pretty small, like enclosed campus, but it's also located on a lot of green space, so it gives you that really like natural, kind of national park feel, provincial park feel. The thing about it being an enclosed campus, I like it because it means that everyone who's on the campus is related to the school in some way. Because it's a small campus, you're meeting and bumping into a lot of the same people all the time, so it's fairly easy to find community here. St. George and Scarborough are a lot bigger. St. George is much more densely populated. I think it's about 40,000 students that are on that campus. And then Scarborough is about the same size, but it's a bit bigger, so it's a bit more sparsely populated. Gio, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, one more thing. So the programs may differ a tiny bit. So, for example, forensic science is only offered at the Mississauga campus. And one thing I can say is that they do really well with that forensic program. They have a crime scene house that is designated for forensic students where you can practice simulated crime scenes and practice like analyzing clues. That way, you can delve into the world of forensics before you even leave university.
Yes, that's a really good point. So thank you for adding that. The next question is, if I have to partake in varsity sports on other campuses like St. George, does U of T provide any transport to said areas? If you are, to my knowledge, if you are a varsity sports member or like a player, at the very least, you will carpool to other areas. If you're based at Mississauga campus and you're going to a game on St. George campus, Gio already mentioned the shuttle, and that's free for UTM students. Gio, do you know anything about Varsity Sports? Oh.
No, I'm afraid not yet, at least.
Not yet. Yeah, he has to complete the 3x3 program.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, but thank you for the question. The next one is a pretty short one as well. So this one is just about how many years to get the science degree from taking full-time. So full-time means that you're taking 4 to 5 courses per semester. And that means if you stay full-time, you'll graduate within 4 years. You can graduate a little bit more early if you take summer courses or if you overload your semesters, but typically most people finish within 4 years. Okay. Are you able to take a required course for your program or just an elective at another campus? The short answer is yes. Gio, do you have any experience going to other campuses, like for electives or required courses?
No, not as yet, but I do have a couple of friends that do take courses at the St. George campus. So yeah, it's totally possible. All they do is they jump on the shuttle bus, head down. When their class is done, they head out back, and yeah, simple as that. I'm thinking about taking one at the downtown campus pretty soon. So by next year, I may have some experiences of my own to share with you guys.
Great. So come back next year when it is every day. Amazing. The next one is, can you switch to the other campus during your academic year if you find that it suits your academic preferences better? I'm going to the economics, and I'm afraid that UTM is more suited for hard sciences. So I'll split this kind of into two questions or queries. The answer to the first one, so can you switch campuses during the academic year? The answer is yes. You just have to apply for the internal transfer application. However, there's no guarantee that you will get placed at another campus. It's obviously capacity dependent. In terms of, UTM being more suited for hard sciences, I wouldn't really say so. I feel like we place equal emphasis on, courses and programs across all 3 disciplines that we have. So arts, business, and sciences. It's really varied. If you find that maybe the campus environment is not conducive, then I would maybe consider a transfer application. But in terms of the emphasis on humanities over life sciences, I feel like they're pretty equally emphasized. So maybe this is a conversation that you want to have with an academic advisor in the future. But yeah, Gio, do you have anything to add?
No, you said it all.
Okay, great. Okay. Hi, Michelle. Hope you're well. I hope you're well too. I hope everyone on this stream is well and watching later. I wonder if you have any more existing or new students from Kyrgyzstan. Would be great to know. So I don't have the number off the top of my head of students from that country. However, I will say that, I mentioned during my presentation about a third of our students just at UTM alone are international. So I'm sure you will bump into someone from Kyrgyzstan during your time here. I also want to mention that there's a lot of clubs and student organizations that are centered around your background or your cultural identities. So that might be something you want to look into. If you want to go on the student organization portal for U of T, that'll list all the clubs and the student organizations that we have and that are active. If you can't find one that's interesting to you or that you want to join, you can obviously make your own. The next one, if I major in chemistry, can I take electives along with that, like biology and such? The answer is yes. Generally, you'll be admitted into your admissions category, and that'll give you priority enrollment for courses that are related. So if I was admitted into life sciences, I have priority enrollment for my first year life science, core courses. Gio, do you have anything to add to this?
Of course, Michelle said yes, and I agree. And of course, you can take electives or anything that seems interesting to you that you might want to. Because the thing about university is you might not want to do that, stay on that career path or that program for your entire journey. And one thing that UTM prides yourself on is that you can switch your program at any point that you feel to do so. So let's say that you take an elective and you like how that is going, you could perhaps change that direction and go along that path. So Answer is yes, and feel free to do so and explore.
Yes. Okay, if you have a disability that would require specific seating in class, how would I go about getting that help? So this is actually very easy. They do have a designated like accessible seating. The banner at the very bottom goes over just kind of all of our accessibility services, so it's not just limited to seating. It's very easy kind of transferring your paperwork. If you have an IEP at your secondary school or at your high school, you can just get that transferred to accessibility services, and it should be processed very quickly. Yeah, hope that answers the question. The next one is about research opportunities with profs and jobs available on campus. I feel like Gio, you would be able to speak to this a bit better than I will. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, we do have ROPs, research opportunities, and typically they are done in your third year. That's when students generally begin their ROPs. I have a friend doing one right now in bio, and she's really loving it. I didn't sign up for one for my third year because I feel like I have a lot of on my plate. However, in my fourth year, I'm thinking to do that because it might open my eyes to what I can do in terms of research, right? So you have that option in terms of jobs. I'd like to go back a little bit. In order to get into that ROP, you probably need to form connections with your professors, more than likely from your first year. So Michelle did mention office hours earlier. Attend those office hours, get to know your professors more, and that way you can create that bond from first year. So when you are ready to apply for third year or earlier, if you wish, you have that bond up and ready, and it makes the process way easier. All right. Now, on to the jobs. We have a database called CLNX. It's a database for all of U of T, and it has on-campus jobs, off-campus jobs, work-study jobs. So anything that you're interested in, you can find it on that database. And one more thing to add, you have access to that database up until 2 years until you graduate, after you graduate rather. So if you're still searching for a job after you graduate, you can log into that database and search for any available jobs. All right. So when you do get in and you have your credentials up and running, you can log into CLNX and just browse and see what the options are. Okay.
Great. So the next question is, how did I find the life sciences program? How hard is it to achieve a good GPA? Life sciences, I liked it. I thought it was very fun. I chose it. I kind of brought it on myself, but I had a good time. I feel like it was a valuable experience. How hard is it to achieve a good GPA? My GPA was good. I think that first year, maybe your grades will dip a little just because of the transition, and that's totally fine. However, like you just have to be proactive, as a student. And this isn't just for life sciences, just for every university student in general, but being proactive and like seeking help. Gio, you don't have to talk about your GPA if you don't want to, but if you want to talk about like finding resources like for forensic sciences, that might be a good addition.
Yeah, of course. And not only for forensics, but for any program that you're in. I did mention the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills
Mhm.
Center. So they offer tutoring and any form of like academic aid that you might need. You also have like studying tips that you can take, exam preparation tips. So we have all the resources here for you to do well. And as I said, I do make use of them. Uh, it is sort of inevitable that you're going to need help at some point in time. So whenever you do, the help is there for you. All right. And to achieve a good GPA, mine is fairly good, I would like to say. And I have like 2 more years. So that is time to settle in and like make it that top GPA. So we will see. And yeah, it is totally attainable. You just have to set your priorities straight, organize your time well, and you will be good.
Awesome. So The next question is about computer sciences. So just for people in the chat or people watching, CS is computer sciences. And then when it says post, that's program of study. So that's kind of the major, the minor, the specialist that you kind of declare at the end of your first year. So for CS, if you don't make post at the end of first year and don't get CS as a major, how easy is it to transfer or switch to a different program? Has there been a change to the post-enrollment process? If you don't make post at the end of first year for whatever reason, you can always attempt post again. And you can also, when you're kind of loading your majors or your programs of study that you want to apply for into your student profile, you're able to put, I think, up to 3 or 4. And you can kind of strategize it so that there's backups for ones that maybe you don't make. How easy is it to transfer, switch to a different program? It depends on whether you have the prerequisite courses as well as meet like the post requirements. And everything is available on our academic calendar. And those academic calendars are specific to the specific campuses. Okay. I think this one was answered in the chat, but I can say it out loud for people watching. To clarify UTM's transfer credit policy, so most AP classes can count for credit and I can transfer up to 3 credits. Yes, you're allowed up to 3, granted that you have a score of 4 or above on the AP exam. In the link in the chat that Lily shared, there is a really handy kind of like conversion table for what each exam or each AP course will be converted into in terms of like the transfer credit that's granted. Okay. Hope that answers your question. Let's see. Okay. The next one is, after accepting our offer to UTM, what will be the next steps throughout the summer and up to the beginning of September when classes start? So when do we get to choose our schedule, etc.? I can go over very general next steps. And then Gio, if you have anything to add about your own experiences, you can add that at the end. So after you accept your offer, if you're an international student, you will be asked to pay your deposit, and that deposit will be applied to your tuition. Okay. And your tuition will be posted to your Acorn account, I believe, starting in the summer. Course enrollment begins in July. If you're in an incoming first year, your course enrollment period is going to be, I believe, the second half, probably later end of July. And that's when you can put all your courses in your Acorn, which is our student profile. And that's kind of like our, where everything happens for course enrollment, tuition payment, things like that. And throughout the summer, you'll also be prompted to join something called Eagle Connect, which is a kind of pre-university transition to university program. So yes, thank you for the banner. That goes over kind of the structure of the program, what kind of topics they'll cover. Gio, do you have any experience with this if you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so Eagle Connect is really good to help you transition into the university life. They are going to do like a weekly schedule thing where they post or they focus on a different topic every week. So let's say for 1 week they'll focus on your finances. How do you pay your tuition fees or anything related to financials? And another week they might talk about academics, how to manage your time, studying tips that you can prepare for. And let's say another week they might talk about the clubs and activities that are held on campus. So every single week over like I believe it's like a 12-week period. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, you basically let you know what to expect and they guide you from in the summer. So when September comes, you're like a second year student, only that you're in first year, right?
Excellent. The next question is about scholarships. I've received a scholarship, so congratulations. I'm not sure how to claim it. Any ideas? Yes, I have multiple ideas. Your scholarship will get applied to your outstanding balance on your Acorn. That's a site that I keep throwing around, but that is essentially like a student profile. So that's where you pay all your tuition. That's where your invoice will be posted. That's where you'll plan your courses, your schedule, apply for, I don't think housing is done through there, but it's linked to housing. So that's where everything will be posted and it'll be credited to your account. I believe late summer or early fall. Okay. The questions are coming in very, very quickly, so I will take a minute to plug our ask page or a portal that you can use to get in touch with us. So it's the uoft.me /askutm. So this inbox is triaged every day. You can even call us, and it'll go to our recruitment staff as well. Okay, so last couple of questions. I think we have about 10 more minutes. Sorry. I was wondering what courses are part of the Humanities program. Also, what does an average class schedule look like at UTM, such as classes per day per week? Maybe Gio, do you want to take the second half of the question?
Yeah, sure, I can do that first. I would like to say ranges based on your program. Uh, I can speak on the sciences. You will have labs, and first year your labs are generally for chem, 3 hours. Second year they go up to 4 hours, and I don't know about third year as yet, but I hope they don't go up any longer. Um, so you have to factor in things like labs and tutorials. Some classes they don't have tutorials; you only have the lecture, so it all depends. For last semester, I would like to say that was my busiest semester. I was here 5 days a week, and I think 2 days I had only 1 hour break from like 10 a.m. to like 5. So it can get busy, but depending on your program, you might have a lighter week scheduled.
Yeah. In terms of what courses are part of the humanities program, so humanities is kind of an admissions category. So it's an umbrella category under which a bunch of smaller programs are housed. So English is a humanity, classics, digital humanities, things like that. In terms of what courses are specific to each program, you can look at the academic calendar and it'll give you a breakdown of what courses, you can look at the breakdown of what courses make up maybe your first year, second year, third year, fourth year. There's obviously for every program, depending on if you're completing the minor, the major, or the specialist, there's going to be a list of courses that are mandatory to take, as well as you're going to have space for a lot of electives. So take things that are interesting and that you're passionate about. Okay. Let's see. This is an interesting one. Could you explain the U of T grading system a bit? Yes, I can. So if your grade is considered excellent, that means you're scoring above 80. And 80 is considered like a 3.7. And then 90 to 100 or 85 to 100, that's 4.0. The scale that I'm talking about is published on the University Registrar's Office website. A lot of people ask if things are graded on a bell curve. Things are not graded on a bell curve. Statistically, everything, if you have more data points, it will flatten out into a bell curve. However, there's not like a limited amount of, for example, like 95% that professors are allowed to give out. So multiple people can score very good grades in the same class. So I don't think you have to worry too much about that. But thanks for that question. I love talking about stats. Let's see. I haven't given my final exams yet, due so that I haven't accepted my offer, but the deadline is almost there. So is there any solution to it? So if I'm understanding your question correctly, I want to say that it's okay if you haven't completed your final exams yet. Submitting your final grades and official copies of transcripts, that'll be part of clearing your conditions. So you can accept your offer now, but you can submit your paperwork after you accept your offer. And the deadline to do that will be made very clear on your letter of admission. Okay. But if you have any questions about that, then please give us a call or an email, and we'll float that banner at the very end, just as a little goodbye to you guys as well. Okay, so hello. Love the enthusiasm. Is it possible to pay tuition in installments, or is it full payment required upfront? I would greatly appreciate any information. So it is possible to pay tuition kind of in installments. So they charge you, the invoice will be split up based on semester. You can look at the payment schedules. These are published on our student accounts website. and they will update it every year. I don't think they ever require full payment upfront. Yeah. Okay. We are almost out of time, so maybe we'll do the last 2 questions, and then the rest of them I will probably have to ask you to submit via email or give us a call. As an international student who's already accepted their UTM offer and paid the admissions deposit accordingly, where can I find my PAL for my study permit? So PAL, for people who are wondering, is the provincial attestation letter. Your PAL, once you've paid your deposit, will be posted on your Join U of T portal, and it takes about a week or 2 to show up, okay? So after that, if it hasn't shown up, after that time has elapsed, then give us a call or give us an email, and we'll try to figure out what's going on for you, okay? And the last question to take us home, how do I know if a course I want to take for my program is available to take at another campus? I'm going to plug the academic calendar one more time. However, I think this is fairly recent, but Timetable Builder is also a tool. Yeah, I love visualizing my schedule. Timetable Builder is really great for that. So that gives you all the course offerings that are available, you know, St. George, Mississauga, Scarborough, as well as down to the specific division. So you can really plan out and kind of visualize what your week will look like. And obviously they'll update it every year, every academic year, so that you know that what you're seeing is up to date. But yeah, thank you for everyone's questions. That was our last one. That brings us to the end of our stream. But before we leave, I did have some very quick announcements. Your deadline to accept your offer for non-Ontario high school students, I believe, is May 1st. And the date for Ontario high school students is going to be June 2nd. But if I'm wrong about those dates, they will be made very clear on your letter of admission, which is based on your Join U of T profile. If you are a prospective student, we have our campus tours all summer long, as well as more virtual events like these. If you want to get in touch with me or anyone else on the recruitment team, we also have office hours as well as a bunch of webinars throughout. Okay, but thank you so much for coming in, asking questions, and engaging. If you have any more questions, then please connect with us. All of our information is at the banner at the very end, at the very bottom of the screen. And that's all for now. Thank you again for joining. Please do reach out. We're always here. We're always happy to help. From all of us at UTM, we wish you the very best on your application, and we hope to see you again soon.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
Thanks.